Hello, and welcome to the Framework. On today's show, we're going to look at Project Oxygen from Google. Their research study into do managers matter? Why don't we Google it? For much of Google's history, there were questions internally about the overall importance and contributions of managers. It was said by some in the company, engineers generally want to spend their time coding and debugging. Many think that talking to direct reports gets in the way of getting that work done. And without training, some engineering managers have a hard time striking a balance between providing direction and micromanaging. Jennifer Kurkowski, People Analytics Manager, commented, "There are many engineers, not just at Google, who tend to think that managers are, at best, a necessary evil, and at worst, destructive. In fact, Page and Brin, the founders of Google, once asked Stacy Sullivan, Director of People Operations, if Google needed managers at all." Google downplays hierarchy and emphasizes the power of the individual in its recruitment efforts, as well as achieve the right cultural fit. Using a rigorous, data-driven hiring process, the company goes to great lengths to attract ambitious self-starters and original thinkers. Key factors for doing well at Google are cognitive ability, initiative, flexibility, and having a collaborative spirit. In 2007, Google hired Prasad Sethi from Capital One to head up a group within the People Operations Department called People Analytics. He went on to say, "I wanted us to be hypothesis-driven and help solve company problems and questions with data." The group's mission evolved over time. Initially, it was all people decisions should be made using data. Later, it became all people decisions should be informed by data and analytics. Sethi explained the thinking behind this change. He said, "We want to use data to eliminate bias in decision-making, but we don't want data to completely erase the role of personal judgment." Sethi built out the People Analytics team with PhDs who brought rigorous research methodologies to the company. 3 members of the People Analytics group, Jennifer Kurkowski, Brian Wheel, Neil Patel, formed a small team called the People and Innovation Lab, or PILab for short. Led by Kurkowski, their goal was to tackle questions related to the well-being and productivity of Google employees. In early 2009, the PILab met with Sethi to share some initial research questions they were thinking of tackling, but one stood out from the rest. The team asked, "Do managers matter?" They went on to ask themselves, what if everyone had an awesome manager? Not just a good one or a competent one, but a truly amazing manager. What kind of results would we see? The Project Oxygen team started by reviewing the data that had already been collected when employees left Google to see whether management issues were cited as one of the reasons for leaving, but there was no correlation that could be found. Patel addressed this by examining a cross-section of high-scoring and low-scoring people managers based on a combination of the Googliest ratings and performance review scores. At first, the numbers were not encouraging. Even the low-scoring managers were doing pretty well. How could we find evidence that better management mattered when all managers seemed so similar? There was really no reason to expect any differences in team performance or team member satisfaction between 2 similar groups. What the team discovered, though, as it turned out, was that the smallest incremental increases in manager quality were quite powerful. The team discovered good managers do matter. The project team found evidence that differences between high-scoring and low-scoring managers did, in fact, have significant impact on job satisfaction, retention, and performance. Overall, the research team found that Google employees with high-scoring managers had consistently higher scores on all the Googliest dimensions, including innovation, work-life balance, and career development. Based on this research, the PILab team concluded that managers do in fact matter. But the next question was, what do our best managers do? During the summer of 2009, the PyLab team conducted interviews with managers from both high and low scoring managers. The PyLab team spent months coding the information. After much review, they identified a set of 8 behaviors that were common amongst the highest scoring managers in the company. Here are the original 8 oxygen behaviors. Is a good coach. Empowers team and doesn't micromanage. Expresses interest and concern for the team members' success and well-being. Number 4 is productive and results-oriented. 5 is a good communicator, listens and shares information. Number 6 helps with career development. 7 has a clear vision and strategy for the future. 8 has key technical skills that help advise the team. These are the original 8 oxygen behaviors that the team developed. Jennifer Krakowski, who led the Project Oxygen team, said, "We believe our study was not about collecting data, it was about driving change. And driving change was just what this team did." So let's take a look at how the Project Oxygen team worked within Google to drive change within the management ranks. The team started by socializing the findings across the company. They met and spoke to every layer of management at Google. Next, they collaborated with leaders across the company to gain adoption and advocacy, including partnering with HR. They developed multiple feedback surveys. They built a very robust and extensive training curriculum and programs to support the oxygen behaviors. And they modified the already existing Great Manager Award. The training team developed and conducted coaching classes on how to deliver feedback, how to create a team vision, and provided opportunities to practice. They also developed a Start Right class created for new managers built around the oxygen behaviors, as well as creating a manager flagship program led by high-performing managers called the Greatest Hits. They created short email reminders as part of their change campaign to drive adoption of the Oxygen 8 behaviors within the company. So what impact did the Project Oxygen team have on the company? Well, first, the company saw a positive improvement in manager quality. They also saw coaching and career development improve significantly. And promotions were now coming from those who demonstrated the strongest oxygen behaviors. So Project Oxygen continues. In fact, it's now called Rework Project Oxygen. And these are the new oxygen behaviors that have been updated. So number 1, is a good coach is still at the top. Number 2, empowers team and does not micromanage. Number 3, this is a new one, creates an inclusive team environment showing concern for success and well-being. Number 4 is productive and results-oriented. Number 5 is a good communicator, listens and shares information. Six, supports career development and discusses performance. That's an addition. 7, has a clear vision and strategy for the team. 8, has key technical skills to help advise the team. 9 is new, collaborates across Google. 10 is new, is a strong decision maker. So you can see the team continues to have an impact on the overall management behaviors and the culture within Google. So what can we take away from Google's Project Oxygen and apply it in our own organizations? Well, first and foremost, managers matter. Not a shocking discovery, but not only the managers matter, it's the quality of manager that matters. Not anybody can be a great manager, not anybody can be a great leader. And that's what this study showed, as well as others. There's many others that showed this. as you call it, if you've read the book, it's The Manager by Gallup. It was a 10-year study that Gallup did, and they looked at what drives company performance. What are the things that drive company performance the most? And they said this was the most surprising and shocking finding in their 80-year history as an organization, is that 70% of a company's performance is based on the quality of their managers. So it's just not that the manager matters. High quality managers are the things that really matter. And to separate yourself from the competition, it really is imperative to hire the best people to be leaders and managers within your organization. Those people tend to drive the most innovation. They tend to have teams that work collaboratively. They tend to work well together. They tend to be happier. They tend to be more engaged. All of those things lead to performance. I think the third thing that we can learn from Google's Project Oxygen is the way the team not only identified these 8 behaviors and now 10, but then how they pulled them through the organization. It's not just enough to identify these things, but you have to pull them through the organization and make them become applicable by the managers, but adopted by the leaders within the organization. And it takes a whole host of people to do that. Not only senior leaders to really advocate and adopt and drive these behaviors throughout the organization, which leads to a lot of positive performance outcomes. HR needs to be involved. Learning and development needs to be involved. So it takes a community to really pull through these adoptions. And I think the Google team and the PyLab team work very collaboratively with their partners at Google to pull through and drive adoption of these behaviors. And I think that is key. So 1, managers matter. 2, it's the quality of managers. 3, it's the way you drive change through the organization. And that takes a campaign and a concerted effort from everybody at all levels of the organization. Thanks for joining me on this overview of Google's Project Oxygen. Please join us for other programs here at Framework 1970. Thank you. Have a good day.